Okay?
Good idea.
So now if you are taking a call, put it on vibrate, squeeze out, take your phone call, come back. It's perfectly okay. Now I know that even though we're talking about it, guess what? The cell phone is still gonna go off tonight. So in the pursuit of trying to minimize it, that's what we're gonna do. If a cell phone goes off, we're all gonna point out to that person so we know where the bill is gonna go to, right? I'm just teasing a little bit. It's easier to learn if you have a little bit of fun, right? Now the other things are conversation. Conversation your table. They're not only distracting to everybody at your table, but they're distracting to me as a speaker. So if you can refrain from that during the presentation, I would really appreciate that. Obviously, we have a great meal coming. We have plenty of time to teach and know each other. Now also, if by any chance you're facing sideways, once you're done with your salad, make yourself comfortable. Turn the chair. There's no other food coming until after the presentation. Sounds fair, everybody? Now, last but not least, I will ask you to hold your questions until after the seminar. It's not because I don't want to answer your question, I'm afraid to answer your question. It's quite the opposite. I love questions. To me, questions show interest. But I believe if they're important enough to us, they deserve the proper attention. Now, my seminar is designed to answer the majority of those questions. But if by any chance it doesn't or you miss one, write that question down. After the presentation, I'm gonna step by at the table. We're gonna address those questions then. Because if I answer a question at this table and that table instead of dinner, we're gonna have breakfast tomorrow morning here, right? And guess what? You just might be about 5 minutes ahead of me. Now, my seminar is designed to answer the majority of those questions. Just wait another 5 minutes, and if not, just write those questions down. Now, some expectations. Show of hands, how many of this is your first time to a retirement seminar financial presentation? Vast majority. I always say it doesn't matter if you've been to one or not, but if you've been to a few of those, you're gonna know a few things that I'm talking about. So usually the expectation is the presenter's gonna be in a 3-piece suit with a fancy computer with 50-page PowerPoint presentation telling you that in order for you to be successful with your money, you have to have all your money with their charging graphs. You know what I'm talking about, right? So now you go to the seminar, you're coming back more confused than you went to the seminar. Now the reason why I think they do that, they try to keep it general enough, in the same time confusing enough, because what do we do when we're confused? You book an appointment, even if you're interested in what they're talking about or not, to clarify things, and then when you get there, they're going to beat you in the head for 3-4 hours until you're going to buy something, right? Please do me a favor, take that photo and throw it out the window. That's not what you're going to experience tonight. We're not here to impress you. We're here to educate you, to teach you how we're helping our clients. And if that's something for you, fantastic. Melissa's going to step by after the presentation with our calendar. You get the chance to get it on our calendar. If it's not for you, we'll part as friends. We'll invite you back to other events that we have. Sounds fair? I have a very simple, no-nonsense approach to my business. Tonight you're going to find out exactly who I am, what I do, and what I believe in. And if you like that, you decide to come to see us, how exactly an appointment is going to look like. Throughout my presentation, I'm going to identify some value, goals, and objectives that I like to use to help my clients. If those value, goals, and objectives, then I know what you want to do with some or part of your money. We'll ask you to come to set up an appointment, come to see if it's a good fit. Sound fair, everybody? Now, what's different with our presentation compared with other presentations you might have been to before, if what you see here tonight is not what you want to do with some or part of your money, we'll ask you now to set up an appointment. Now, that's a little bit different, maybe a little bit too direct, but don't you guys agree we're all busy people? Are you guys busy?
Yeah.
We're busy too. We have a couple of those events every week, and we're budgeting about 5 to 7 business days to get together with everybody before our next round of seminars and before we have holiday next week. So, and we like to hold spots so people not only think like we do, but they believe in the same things our clients believe in. And more importantly, we like to hold spots for our existing clients and time for our existing clients, and we're able to build a great business based on that foundation. And hopefully some of you here tonight, you want that kind of great customer experience as well. Okay? Now, I know that what we're going to talk about tonight is not for everybody. Maybe 70% of you even going to be interested in what we're going to talk about tonight. For the rest of you, I hope you guys have a great meal. You learned something new. If it's good for you in the future, fantastic. Sounds fair? Mm-hmm. Now, when you come to one of those presentations, you want to learn more about the speaker. So to kind of tell you a little bit more about myself, I was born in Romania. I came here 25 years ago at age 25 with $200 in my pocket, barely speaking English.
Wow.
About 12 years ago, I met this beautiful Ukrainian girl that I really think that she chased me. She came after me. Came from Ukraine and Romania. We met in New Orleans, of all the places. And then we lived in the same apartment building or across the street from each other. But she was there about a year and a half, 2 years after me. So I'm sticking to my story that she was the one chasing me, right? Every time people see a picture, they always say, Dean, yeah, we almost believe that she was the one chasing you, right? But 12 years ago, she caught up with me, and 10 years ago, we got married. We have a beautiful daughter. Her name is Allegra. She's 10 years old. She's a ball of joy, totally Florida girl. She goes to St. Stephen Episcopal School in Coconut Grove. And the last thing she makes us do, she takes us in the evening to Miami Beach, and she flies her kite for entertainment. Now, I know that I said I came here with $200 in my pocket, barely speaking English. That is true, but I did have to educate myself. So I have several licenses. From Sirius 66 Managed Money, Life and Health. I am an accredited portfolio management advisor, and I'm a certified exit planning advisor consulting baby boomers in preparing their businesses for sale and in protecting their money after they sell their business the way I'm going to show you tonight. Now, also for the last 20 years, I worked for 3 major investment firms, from Morgan Stanley, JP Morgan, Ameriprise Financial. Now we own our own wealth management firm with offices from North Miami, Brickell, Dadeland, and hundreds of clients. Now, I'm not saying that to impress you. I'm saying that to impress upon you how hard work and determination that I put in my own success. The same hard work and determination brings success to my clients. Now, the number one reason why I wanted to open my own wealth management firm was because between those major banks and investment firms that I worked for, it was a niche of retirees. They were underserved and neglected, and I hope some of you tonight will resonate with them. Those are retirees. They wanted safe investments with a reasonable rate of return. They didn't want to pay fees, and they were not happy what banks have to offer. Now, what I did different than average advisor, I didn't just specialize in that niche. We made it the centerpiece of our business, and I feel we did a pretty good job at it because in 2022, when market went down 23%, our clients didn't lose a penny during that time. Okay? So now, but I always say it doesn't matter how good I am at what I do, if what I do is not for you, it doesn't make sense to you, right? So what we're gonna do, we're gonna go over this thing tonight, see if it makes sense or not, right? So now, I know that Melissa asked you that I do need the upper third part of the response sheet filled out. So do me a favor, let's pull out the response. I only need one per couple. So if you have the point answers together, I just need one for husband and wife, okay? This is table number 1. So in the upper left corner, this is table number 1. You guys, table number 2, upper left corner. This is table number 3. This is you ladies, table number 4. Table number 5. Table number 6. And you table number 7 over there. Okay, so in the upper left corner, right the table, and now in the upper right corner is the date. What date is today? 19. Okay, write those down. Now, once in a while, so just take your time during the presentation. Take your time during the presentation, but try to have it finished.
I'm sorry, what table did you say we went to? Okay, we'll take them.
So, take your time during the presentation, but try by the end of the presentation to have it finished. And then just still keep that response sheet right next to it. It's a little bit interactive because I'm going to talk about certain things you might have, okay, from there. Now, once in a while, I have somebody tell me, Dean, I don't feel comfortable giving out my personal information. Let me give you a news flash. I already have your information. I'm the one that invited you here, right? But in order for me to have this as a business arrangement, I do need to have it in your writing that you've been here. It's not me with a bunch of my friends throwing a party. So you are my tax deduction for the evening. Now, I will make you a promise. Unless you check mark yes that you want to come to sit down because what we spoke about, it makes sense to you. Nobody's going to call you. Nobody's going to bother you. We don't have the time, the energy, or the staff to do it. You see, our calendars, they're pretty busy, you know, as they are right now. So, peace of mind, write those things down. We do need to have it by the end of the presentation. Now, also, on the workbook, on the cover of the workbook, if you look on the workbook, you have all of our information. You have our licenses. Our phone number is 305 for safety, so you know what we believe in, right? And also our offices. So the office that's most conveniently located for you, it's 5901 Southwest 74th Street. So it's corner practically almost 74 Sunset and Dixie Highway. So very conveniently located, unlimited free parking. Okay, 4-story building. It's not one of those crazy things that it takes you forever to get inside. Okay, So it's very convenient. Okay, if you decide to come to see us, that's when you'd actually come to see us. Okay. Now, also, if you want to learn more about us, if you open the workbook on the inside cover, you have a little bit of bio. So we A+ accredited by the Better Business Bureau. We are recognized by National Ethics Association. I am a fiduciary licensed to do everything. But tonight, the only thing that we're going to talk about is how you can keep your money safe and protected. Okay? Now, obviously, I cannot do this just by myself, so you guys kept in touch with Shane, our marketing director. You met beautiful Melissa. She puts together about 50 of those events every year. My wife, Olga, she's a licensed agent. She works specifically in client relations. So if you decide to come to see us, or you become a client at one point or another, you got to meet those people in person, okay? But besides them, we also have a seminar planning team and a seminar marketing team. That's the one that sends you all the flyers out. Our legal department is headed by a former SEC attorney. We have a product specialist with 5 analysts, scouting financial markets for the best program for us and our clients. Okay, all of that in pursuit of you guys getting the great customer experience. Now, I see the vast majority of you have a wide response sheet. That means it's your first time with us. You guys gonna get the most out of it. So I do want your participation. I will promise you one thing. There's no right or wrong answer. Also, the obvious answer is the correct answer, okay? I'm not trying to trick you by no means, right? I see some familiar faces. That means you've been with us before, but you're not yet a client. I always say timing is everything in our business. Might not be the right time last time. You're gonna tell us after the presentation if it's the right time this time, okay? So, by the way, if it's your first time with us, you are always welcome back. I do have 2 things to ask of you, if it's not too much, okay? Number 1 is be nice to Melissa. This is not the only thing that she's doing. She's very busy in the office. Is that too much to ask? No. And number 2, do what you said you're gonna do. If you book an appointment, it also takes a certain amount of time to follow up with people and all that. Is that those 2 things that too much to ask? And you're always welcome back, okay, to those things, okay? Now, tonight, we couldn't get any of our clients in. The reason being is because we had 32 people on our list, 28 confirmed. But you know how it goes with traffic, so not everybody's practically show up. But we couldn't risk it and invite our clients, and then they're gonna have to stay by the bar, right? So our clients, they always invite back. I mean, if you've been with us before, you know that our clients, they always come over. So we're letting you know every time we have our event. Our clients come 2, 3, 4 times a year. And then we have one meeting that's once a year that we have an annual review on those things. So all of that, if you want that kind of relationship with our clients, they would advise that actually calls you. You guys came to the right place, okay? So let's open the workbook at page 1. Understand your money. Understand your money. Now what I find when I meet with people today is that the word of the day is uncertainty. Don't you guys agree there's a lot of uncertainty out there? Is there a lot of uncertainty from war in Europe, another one in Israel, crazy election here, right? Pretty polarized. Is there a lot of uncertainty, yes or no?
Yes.
Pretty much. So now the bad news about it is when we looked at our accounts in 2022, they were down 23%. Thank God they printed out $2.3 trillion in 2023 and we got all our money back. The market is back up, right? The good news about it is you guys came in tonight. What I'm going to show you is how you can stop the slide, never lose money again. Whatever you lost in 2022, if you didn't quite make it back, even if you had a lot of technology stuff, or whatever the reason why your account is not back, I'm going to show you how you can get it back day 1. Now, I know it's a tall order, but I want you to hold me accountable by the end of the presentation if I was able to do that. And I'm going to ask you in the end if I was able to accomplish that for you, okay? Now, when I look at money, I look at money in 2 positions. One is a position of safety, where our money is guaranteed, safe, and insured, and one when our money is exposed to risk. Don't you guys agree? It's pretty much the only 2 choices. So let me ask you this. Where is the place that we can put our money and our money is guaranteed, safe, and insured? CDs, banks. Let me ask you this. Do banks pay us high interest rates or low interest rates?
Low.
Low. A lot better recently, right? But if they paying us 4 to 5% and inflation is 6 to 7, and over the long run, inflation is 3 to 4 and they paying us 2 to 3, do we make money or we lose money? Lose money. It's called real value of money. It's called inflation. Now don't get me wrong, we love our banks. we should have money in the banks. Everything that we need for about a year, maybe a year and a half, maybe for 2 years. And at least right now they're paying us something. But if we have our long-term money, should we have our long-term money in the banks, yes or no?
No.
Definitely not, right? Because we're losing money, real value of money to inflation. Now, when we think about a place where our money is exposed to risk, stock market comes to mind, right? Now, the stock market has 3 cycles. 2 that you might be familiar with, 1 that you might not be as familiar with. The one that everybody loves is the up market, right? Then we have the down market. I yet to meet anybody in retirement and near retirement that likes the down market. Now, the 3rd cycle that you might not be as familiar with, I want you to look at me for a second, is the flat market. Now, it doesn't mean it's consistently flat. But if you start at one point and it goes up, it goes down, it goes up, and it goes down after several years and up in the same spot. It's pretty much that for us, right? Yes or no? So let me ask you this. If you could eliminate from those 3 cycles, from the up, down, and flat market, if you could eliminate one of them, which one would you eliminate? Nobody likes to lose money. Is it okay if I show you how you can accomplish that tonight? I'm going to show you a concept how you can eliminate the down market, but I want you to understand something very important. By no means, I'm telling you shouldn't have any money invested in the market. Vast majority of the wealth in this room, especially in our retirement accounts, is based on the stock market. But we shouldn't have in a market more than you're willing or you can afford to what?
Lose.
And you have to determine that for yourself. Make sense?
Yes.
I don't know if you notice how we have conditioned by specialists to get invested in the stock market and to stay invested in the stock market. Now, the main reason was because, actually for the last 20 to 25 years, is because banks, they weren't paying us anything, right? So what we did, we left safety. We took some risk and it paid off. For the last 14 years, market did really good, right?
Right.
Now, how do specialists condition us to get invested in the market and to stay invested in the market? It's on the bottom of your page on the left side of the stop sign. There's what some experts say, right? So, number 1, over time, market outperforms everything. Did we hear that before? Over time, market outperforms everything. So I do want your participation a little bit. Did you guys ever hear that before? It's okay.
Yes.
Yeah. So I will tell you this, for the last 50 and 60 years, that is true. But for the last 20 to 25 years, that's actually not true. We'll go in a little bit more detail about it. Now, we ever heard the saying safety through diversification? How is that called? Put your eggs in different? That's good, right? The problem is when we go to our broker, he takes some money, he puts it in 20 different buckets, and when the market goes down, they all go down. 2022, S&P 500 was down 23%. Bonds went down 13%. They just don't lose as much during that time. Now, I will tell you this, if you have your money exposed to risk, you should get it diversified. We call that risk diversification. To us, true diversification is when a portion of our money is guaranteed, safe, and insured, cannot lose money. Make sense, everybody? Yeah. Now, did you ever hear the next one? Paying fees is normal. Who usually says that?
Those that take fees.
People collecting the fees, right? The broker. So do me a favor, pick up the pen and where it says paying fees is normal, scratch your line through normal and put optional next to it. Optional. I'm going to show you a concept how you can achieve what you want with your money without you having to pay any kind of fee. Okay? Now, when the true conditioning starts is when the market starts to go down, starts to tumble. Okay, like in 2022, when we call our broker in the end of the year, what did he tell us? Well, everybody's losing money right now, right? I don't know about you guys, but when I lose something, last thing I'm worried somebody else is all on my back, right? So, the number one thing that I want you to take from this presentation tonight is this. My clients, they invest in what I'm going to show you tonight. They didn't lose a penny in 2022. Okay? Now, what is the moral of the story with all those things what specialists are telling us? These specialists, for a reason, they got to be true. They are true, actually, in accumulation phase, when we have time on our side. Let me ask you this. Do you think a younger investor should invest the same way like an older, more mature investor?
No.
Probably not. What do a 30 years old has more compared with somebody that's 70 years old?
Time.
Time. The other night I had somebody say more hair. So if we have time on our side and sometimes a paycheck, we can wait until the stock market comes back. But if we in retirement or near retirement, that's different. Yes or no?
Yes.
Very different, okay? So the number one question that I get when clients come to see me is like this. Look, we got the idea. We have to have some money saved, and we can have some money exposed to risk, but how much of our money should be safe and how much we can expose to risk? Do me a favor. Right underneath the stop sign, but leave some space under. I want you to write this down under the stop sign. Rule of 100. Leave some space underneath 100. Rule of 100. Rule of 100. Now, do me a favor. Underneath 100, please write down your age. Put down your age. Now, ladies, feel free to cover your sheet. So now, please subtract your age from 100. So if your age is 60, your result is going to be 40. If your age is 70, your result is going to be 30. Now, where you put your age, I want you to put down safe. Safe, guaranteed, and insured. Safe. When you put your result, I want you to write down risk. Risk. Now, Dean, how come, and after you write that down, I want you to look at me for a second. So, Dean, how come when I'm 70 years old, I should only have 30% of my money exposed to risk? Well, guess what? We can afford to lose half of 30% of our money at age 70. We cannot afford to lose half of all of our money at age 70. We don't have the time to make the money back. Yes or no?
Yes.
The number one problem that I see when clients come to see me, they're 60, 70, 80 years old, and they have 80, 90% of their money in stocks, bonds, and mutual funds exposed to risk. And when they realize that, they're not comfortable with it. Listen, if you're comfortable with that, we're comfortable with it too. But if you're more like my clients, in 2022, some of their accounts went down 15 to 20%. If that gave you a knot in your stomach, you guys came to the right place. I'm going to show you how you can eliminate it altogether. Make sense, everybody?
Yes.
Now, let's turn to page 2. Oh, actually, let's stay on page 1. Let me give you an analogy. Let's on the bottom of the page. So you to kind of get you a little bit to better understand how we are conditioned by specialists to get invested in the market and to stay invested in the market. Let me tell you first an analogy. So you on the bottom of your page, if it's your first time with us, I want your participation a little bit. So on the bottom of your page, you have a stop sign, right? It's a federal sign, the same form, size, shapes, and colors in all 50 states of the United States. Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes. So when we get to the stop sign, what color is it? Red. How many sides it has? 8. And when we get to it, what are we supposed to do?
Stop.
Show of hands how many did that on the way here tonight. About 5 out of 25 people made a suggestion in the game, what we call it a rolling stop, right? From that. So now you guys know the yield sign, right? It's an upside down pyramid. So when we get to the yield sign, how many sides it has?
3.
3. And when we get to it, what are we supposed to do? So down, be cautious, be careful. And what color is it? Yellow. Guess what? That's how a yield sign looks like. The good news about it, it used to be yellow. They
70s.
recently just changed it
70s.
in 1971. So we never actually got the driver who's yellow. The good news about it is the reason why we said yellow, what color are we conditioned to think when we think about cautious, careful, from school bus to crosswalk?
Yellow.
What color comes to mind?
Yellow.
Yellow, right? Now, by no means I'm trying to trick you, but I will keep this as a reminder right here. Okay? Now, Dean, how in the world is this connected with finances, right? Well, Mark Twain has a saying, it's not what you don't know that gets you in trouble, it's what you think you know that isn't so. So, by the way, if this will be a driving test, this will have devastating effects. A lot of people call the stop sign, and nobody knows the call of the yield sign, right? The good news about it, this is not a driving test. What we're talking about tonight is your savings, your retirement, your ability to stay retired. The key thing that I want you to take from this presentation tonight, I want you to pay attention to this, is like this. Live your retirement on your own terms. And I don't care how much money you have. In retirement, we all have the same terms. Those are like this. Have the income that you need, rise with inflation, and never run out. The problem is knowing the wrong color signs in financial services can also have devastating effects. Think about it like this. If you can be as conditioned with something as simple as a yield sign, how conditioned can we be with something as complicated as money? Okay, do me a favor, keep an open mind. Let's see some of those changes, see if we can make an improvement in your financial picture. Make sense, everybody? Now turn to page 2. Retirement plan rules. Now while we're working, Uncle Sam allows us to contribute a certain amount of money to our retirement account, right? So if we're under the age of 50, we can contribute $7,000. If we're over the age of 50, we can contribute $8,000. Now, every year we can make a certain contribution. It builds on. Everybody knows if we take money before 59.5, anybody knows how much is the penalty? 10% plus taxes. Okay? So now, if we made it over the age of 59.5 and now in retirement, how do we use that money from our retirement account? Do we take big chunks of money, $150,000, we end up paying Uncle Sam 43, half of that money in taxes, or are we using that money slowly over time like a pension?
Slowly.
Slowly over time. We need that money to last. Anybody knows what percentage specialists they recommend us to take out every year?
No.
4 to 5%. Forbes magazine calls it the 4% rule. Okay, now we'll go a little bit more detail why they say 4 to 5%. Okay, now if we working for an employer, we have a 401k, 403b, 457. Those are employer dependent, so they can set their own rules. One of the rules, they can allow us to contribute more money to our retirement account, like $18,500. They can match our contribution, but because they have so much control over it, another thing they have control over is what choices of investment we can put our money in. So let me ask you this, is they paying for those choices? Do you think they're gonna pay for the best, most expensive one, or for the mediocre one?
Mediocre.
Mediocre one's the best, okay? And guess what? Uncle Sam knows the limitation in 401ks, 403bs, 457. So once we made it over the age of 59.5, right next to the 59.5 rule, I want you to write this down. Next to the 59.5 rule, I want you to write down in service rollover. In service rollover. So what does that mean?
Here,
because we straight line from 59 to 66, 67, which is full retirement age, right? Once we're crossing over 59.5, because Uncle Sam knows the limitations of 401ks, 403bs, 457, over 59.5, Uncle Sam allows us to roll over a portion of our retirement. So if we worked for the same employee 15, 20, 30 years, and we accumulate a nice nest egg, once we're crossing over 59.5, even though we're still working for the same employer, we still make contributions, we still match our contribution, Uncle Sam allows us to roll over a portion of that money as an in-service rollover, so you have full control, you have access to the seed, you have to touch it, you know what's invested in and how it's protected. Now, every time I talk about that, it always reminds me about this gentleman came over like you, and he said, look, I left my retirement with my previous employee, they were really doing a great job, okay? Their company stock went up crazy. On a Friday afternoon, I had $1 million. The problem was on Monday morning, he had zero in his account. And it sounds like a make-believe story, but when I tell you he used to work for Enron, you know what I'm talking about. They actually put all their retirement plans in the company stock, and when it went down to zero, they got zero in their retirement account. Do me a favor. If you have any of those, we call those stray 401ks, abandoned 401ks. If you left it over to a previous, there's no reason for you to leave it there. You're no longer there for 10 years. Okay? You get a paper in the mail, they're telling you we switched the whole retirement account to the company stock, but that benefits them, but the stock goes up, right? That's what happens. You get exposed to risk without you even knowing from that, okay? So now, if we're lucky, and now we made it over 59.5, 66, 67, and now we're in retirement, but we're fortunate, and we don't need any money from our retirement account. We have Social Security, maybe a pension, maybe a rental income, right? At age 73, Uncle Sam forces us to take a certain amount of money out. It's called a required minimum distribution. It's not a lot, it's about 4% per year. So for every $100,000 that you have inside your retirement account, you have to take out $4,000. If your retirement is $500,000, we have to take out 4% of that, $20,000 out every year. Now let me ask you this. Anybody know required RMD, required minimum distribution? Now, anybody knows how much is the penalty if you do not take out the $20,000 out? 25% plus tax.
Wow.
That's the penalty. So I will tell you this. If you're within 5 to 7 years of that age, and your advisor doesn't talk to you about it, you should have a second opinion, a second advisor altogether. There's certain things that you can do within 5 to 7 years of that age, or even after that age, that you can actually do that will convert your money in tax-free legacy money for you and your family. Now guess what? This rule of 73, it used to be called 7.5, then they increased to 72, now it's 73. See, my Uncle Sam is giving us a break. But what do you know about Uncle Sam? Every time he gives us something,
Take something back.
we get something else in return, right? So when we were forced at 70.5 to take money out, if we passed, our children were able to split their retirement for the rest of their life as a stretch IRA. Since they increased the time frame from 70.5 to 73, our kids have to take all the money out in a period of 10 years. So they inherit a tax bump. Because guess what? When we pass in our 80s and 90s, they in their 50s and 60s, the most successful time of their life. So they're already in the highest tax bracket because of that. You leave them another $500,000 to $1 million, then they have to take $50,000 to $100,000 on top of that. 43% goes to Uncle Sam of that money. Again, there's certain things that you can do in advance to that you can convert that money into tax-free legacy money for you and your family, okay? I don't know if you have a plan with that, but if you don't, check my yes, come to see us, okay? Now, let's turn to page 3, qualified retirement plan issues. Number one problem that I see is too much risk and too many fees, okay? Some examples of commonly used retirement problems. Number one, stocks, bonds, and mutual funds. Number one, stocks, bonds, and mutual funds. Where it says number one on the page, I want you to write this down. Stocks, bonds, and mutual funds. Stocks, bonds, and mutual funds. Now, number two, tell me if I go too fast, I'll slow down a little bit. So, number two, I want you to write down variable annuity. Variable annuity. And do me a favor, in parentheses next to variable annuity, I want you to write this down. Very bad. At least you know how I feel about them, right? So now, why they very bad? It says over there on the page, understand before you buy. What you need to know, right at the bottom, number one, they have a lot of risk. Where it says understand what you need to know. They have a lot of risk is number one. Number two, costs can be very high. Costs can be very high. Now, Dean, how high the cost can be for those things, right? Do me a favor, let's go back up to number one at the top where we put stocks, bonds, and mutual funds. I want you to write this down. Average advisor fee, it's 1.5 to 2.5%. 1.5 to 2.5%. Now, once in a while, I have somebody tells me, Dean, I don't pay that much. I only pay about 1%, maybe a little bit less than that because I have over $1 million, right? Listen, that is true. That's what you pay your broker. When he puts you that 1%. But when he puts you in 20 different mutual funds, those are not charitable trusts. They have their own fees. They call 12B1 fees. Average 12B1 fee is 0.75 to 1.25%. So when you pay the broker 1%, that's the fee that he discloses, and you're paying fees inside the mutual fund at 1%. That's 2%. It doesn't seem like it's a lot. It's just 2%, right? The problem is, when we in our retirement, we are conservative or mildly conservative. The whole goal for our account is net of fees is 5 to 6%. That's what Forbes magazine tells us to take out 4% per year. So if we only making the whole account 5 to 6%, and we're paying the broker 2%, that's a big partnership, yes or no? That's a big partnership. So it doesn't seem like it's a lot, but when, let's say we have in our retirement account $500,000, and we're paying 2% in fees, how much is that every year? $10,000. For how long we need our retirement? 10, 20, 30 years. How much is that? That's $100,000, $200,000, $300,000. That'd be nice if that money would stay in our pocket instead of a broker's pocket, right?
Yes.
That'd be nice, right? So now, where you wrote variable annuities and very bad, I want you to write this down. Average fee, 3.5 to 4.5%. 3.5 to 4.5%. And once in a while, I have somebody tells me, Dean, my broker that sold it to me told me that the only thing I'm paying is $100 a year. Listen, it's not what they tell you. They have names for this fees on variable annuities. I don't even know how they come up with it. So I had a lady like you comes over to one of my dinner events, and she said, Dean, I have this, I want your opinion about this variable annuity. And I told her what I tell everybody. We're going to do better than just an opinion. What we're going to do, we're going to bypass the broker that sold it to you, because everything is rosy to him, right? So we're going to call directly your insurance company that you have the contract with. And I love it when they say you're on the recording line, because they have to answer our questions, they have to tell us the truth. So she came in, we called the annuity company, and first I would ask what was the balance on the account. It was a $500,000 variable annuity, okay? And then I said, if the stock market goes down 30, 40, 50%, what can happen to her account? The lady from the insurance company said, theoretically, it can go down 30, 40, 50%. I said, well, how much of her money is in stock, is exposed to risk? She said 100% of her money is in stocks, bonds, and mutual funds. Then I proceeded to ask about fees. She had an M&E fee of 1.5%. That's called mortality and expense. How they come up with those names, I don't know. Then she had a rider of 1%. Total altogether 4% in fees. You know what my client said? He said, listen, asked the lady from the insurance company, just out of curiosity, how much money did I pay you guys? Because I had this contract for over 10 years. I took the lady from the insurance company a few minutes, but we're good at math, right? So $500,000, 4%, how much is that? $20,000 for 10 years. How much is that? That's exactly what she said. $200,000. And she said that was more than my mortgage was 10 years ago. Okay? And then she proceeded to ask if we can eliminate those fees, give her a reasonable rate of return. I assured her we could. And she said to me like this. She said, Dean, all I wanted from this account is $20,000 per year to supplement my Social Security for the rest of my life. The problem is, when you take out 20 and the insurance company charges you 20, that's $40,000 a year. From $500,000 in 12 years, there's no money left over to go to your heirs at all. Okay? And then she said to me like this, she said, Dean, is Shane still in? I just wanted to say thank you. I said, wait a minute, I called the insurance company. Why do you want to say thank you to Shane? Her appointment was in the afternoon. She called in the morning, Shane picked up, and she said, listen, I called my broker, and he told me my account is safe, and I'm paying reasonable fees. If I would have not come in today, okay, I would have not known that I can lose 50% of my money, and I'm paying $20,000 in fees. Okay, that's what was reasonable to her broker. Do me a favor, if you have any of those variable annuities, come to see us. It's an obligation appointment, okay? We're going to do exactly what I promised you. You come in, you're going to find out exactly how it works. It's a second opinion. If you call your broker, you'll know the answer, right? So not to kind of back up some of the statements that I made, I'm going to show you a graph. So this is the S&P 500 since 1999. Anybody knows how many stocks in S&P 500?
500.
Trick questions. You want to see if everybody's asleep or not, right? So in 1999, I know you guys can remember during that time. That was during the tech when everything was going up. So let's say we worked for 10, 15, 20 years. Okay? And we accumulated about $100,000 in our retirement account. Now, if your retirement is 300, 500, $1 million, you just multiply that by 3, 5, and 10, right? So we saved $100,000 in our retirement account. We asked around, and that was during the tech boom. Everything was going up. Everybody was a stockbroker. Just like right about now, after 14 years of that, every person that I know took some kind of trading course, because that's a good idea after 14 years of rally in the market, right? So what we went over, we got referred to this broker, let's say his name is Joe, and we went over to Joe and said, Joe, I worked really hard for my money. I saved $100,000 in my retirement account. I'd like to make some money. Everybody's making money right now, right? So Joe says, look, I have this brilliant idea. This is what we're going to do. We're going to take your $100,000. We're going to split it within 500 largest companies in the United States. It's the most stable of all the indexes. That's what Joe's telling us. So guess what? We put our money in the S&P 500. The first year, our $100,000 went from $100,000 to $112,000. Now, show of hands, how many of you think 12% is a pretty decent return? That's a pretty decent. So we went over to Joe. We had an annual review with Joe. Joe was bragging how great our company's doing, how great he's doing for us. Like he can control the S&P 500, right? And then we asked Joe a question. We say, Joe, I work for 100. I have $112,000. Should I take some money off the table? What is Joe gonna tell us?
No.
Definitely not. Well, why would you do that? Look how great the account is doing. Now you want to take money out? But it'd be nice for us to know that that was the all-time high, right? So now, let me ask you this. That $112,000, is that guaranteed, safe, and insured?
No.
Could we lose it?
Yes.
Did we lose it if we stay invested? Went down to 81,000, 63,000. Now, that was during the tech bubble burst, and then we had 9/11. We shut down the stock market for 3 weeks, right? So now we did not hear too much from Joe during that time, right? But once he went down to 63,000, we tracked him down and said, Joe, I worked for 100. I had 112,000. You told me not to take any money out. Now I'm down to $63,000. Should I take any money out? What is Joe gonna tell us?
No.
You guys all work with Joe? So listen, I love it when they say this. It's just a paper loss. Well, listen, if it's just a paper loss, pick up a piece of paper and write the difference, right? I'm in retirement, and near retirement right now. I need my money every month and every year. I can't wait until the market comes back, right? Now, I'm not calling them liars. After it went up 63 to 77, 86, 95,000. Okay? Now, we start hearing from Joe, right? Joe is calling us, and he's telling us, we're kicking ass and taking names, double-digit returns every year. We make a lot of money. That's what Joe's telling us. Now, this is the first red yield sign that I will tell you. We make no money at 95,000. We worked for 100. We had 112,000. Yes or no? Right? So that's the first red yield sign. Then it went up to 104 and up to 119. Now we have more money. We have no more money than we had at 112,000. We went over to Joe and he said, Joe, I am never gonna let this happen again. They're gonna get my money back. I have some gray hair to show for it. Okay? From this, and something, I feel that something is about to happen. Guess what? My bartender just bought 5 houses with no money down. You guys remember that, right? So let me ask you this: would Joe let us take any money out of the 119,000?
No.
Definitely not. And I'll show you why not. So then after that, he said the real estate bubble burst: 90,000, 82, 88, 88 to 100. Let's recap this for a second. So we started 1999 with 100,000. We in 2011, 12 years later, we have 88,000. So in 12 years, we lost $12,000. Who's the only person made money during that time? Joe makes money. Doesn't matter whether the market goes up or down. Listen, he doesn't even have to be good at what he's doing. The only thing he has to be good at is convince us to stay invested. That's how he makes the money. Listen, if they would make money when we make money, we would have gotten a call right here. We got a call right there in 2007, in 2000, right? Any of you got a phone call in January of 2022? Probably not. Do you think he's ever going to call us? Okay, now, look, remember how I told you there's an up market, down market, and a flat market? The flat market I'm telling you about is this, the 1999 to 2011. There's a name for it. It's called the lost decade. I will tell you this, if you retired during that time and you did not have guaranteed income, okay, you'd have to go back to work. The reason being is because if you take out, when you're down 12% and you take out 4% per year for 12 years, you're pretty much be done. You have to go back to work. Now, what happened next is one of the most amazing times in the history of the stock market, okay? So if you're in retirement or near retirement, I should pat yourself on the back. This is the most amazing time in the history for you guys to be in this position. It's just a matter of what we're doing at this time. The problem is, what are we advised by Joe after 14 years of rallying in the market? Well, we had that flash crash in 2020. Now, because the market was bad, well, we shut down the economy 4 months, we went down 37%, in 5 months to get our money back. And then in 2022, we went down 23%. 2023, we printed out $2.3 trillion. We back again. So we call those flash crashes. What do we learn from recessions? Watch this for a second. 2000, 2001, 2 years market was down. It took 5 years to get our money back. That's 7 years. 2008, 2009, 2 years market was down. It took 4 years to get our money back. Recession are 6 to 7 years. They're not flash crash. So let me ask you this. Now, at the all-time high here, if something would happen in the market and will go down during this time, and your broker would tell you, we suggest you not to touch your money for 6 to 7 years. Would that make a small difference or a big difference now that we're in retirement?
Big difference.
Big difference. We need our money every month and every year. Now, listen, everybody says, well, half of the country voted one way, half the other. Maybe we hope that something good is going to happen. Well, guess what? Warren Buffett has an indicator. It's called the Buffett indicator. You guys heard of Warren Buffett?
Yes.
The biggest investor of all time.
Yes.
Anybody knows his rules of investing? Number one, don't lose any money, right? Anybody knows rule number two?
Remember,
Don't forget rule number one. Right? So he actually has a Buffett indicator score. It tells you how expensive the stock market is compared with the GDP. Every time the stock market is 120, 130%, the GDP, you start collecting cash. So do you know how much is the Buffett indicator right now? Is at 200%. So guess what? Berkshire Hathaway, from $800 billion that they have, $300 billion in cash. What is that he know that we don't know? Okay? The problem is, like, when are we getting advice if you're going to Joe? What should we do? Should we play the Wall Street casino, or we should actually take some money off the table?
Wall Street Casino.
Wall Street casino, right? So now, I will tell you an analogy. Let's say we go to casino, and we say we're gonna play with $100 until we're running out of money, right? So, coincidentally, 4 hours later, we have $10,000 in winnings. Now, nobody can take us out of the casino, right? Because we think we're going to win the whole casino. We're going to take that big guitar, the hard rock guitar. It's going to be in our backyard, right? But coincidentally, 2 hours later, we lost $2,000. Instead of $10,000, we have $8,000 in our in winnings. Should we take our $8,000 and run, or should we try to make back the $2,000 to get back to $10,000?
Run.
Run, right? It's a lot easier to see that. But when we go to Joe, what did he tell us?
Stay.
Stay. Hit me back up on red, right? Put me back on red. Now, exactly. So now, to kind of put in perspective how the S&P 500 performs over a long time, what I did, I added a 3% CD line. Now, this is not the most exciting of the account, okay? But how many years do you think the S&P 500 in the last 23 years did better than a 3% CD line? Watch this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 out of 23 years. The problem is when you went underneath the blue line, it took 16 years to catch up to the blue line. Okay? So now every time we talk about Joe, Joe only wants to talk about double-digit return, right? So when we ask you what happened in 2020, 15%. It doesn't matter if we lost 23% the year after that, and we're still negative, right? From there. So all he wants to talk is the years that we're doing double digit and the last 10 to 14 years. And listen, I hope you guys made a lot of money during that time. But if another lost decade will happen after this, shouldn't we take some money off the table, a little bit of that money?
Yes.
So if we look at S&P 500 for the last 10, 14 years, it probably averages 12, 13%. But if you Google S&P 500 for 20 and 40 years, it averages 7 to 8%. Minus Joe's fees, we take home 6 to 7%. So let me ask you a question. What if you could make between 3% and 7%? And have a smooth ride, almost like the blue line, not a roller coaster like the red line. Sure, how many things you have some or part of your money, something like that. That will make a lot of sense. Why take a risk? And I will tell you this. If you're like vast majority of my clients, if they wouldn't lose any money and you get a reasonable rate of return, they'll be perfectly fine to retirement. Why would you chance it at this time in your life? It just makes no sense. Whatever portion of your money you wish you would have known to keep safe in January of 2022, very seldom in life we get a second chance to do that what we needed to do earlier, right? Now market is back, thank God, and you have the opportunity to do that. Now, I will say this. Our only job in retirement is don't let the red line go down all the way to the blue line. Make sense? So now, Dean, this is fantastic. You told us the stock market can lose money, and banks, they don't even keep up with inflation, right? What's a possible solution? Let's turn over to page 4, a possible solution. A possible solution. Now do me a favor, right at the top of the page, I want you to write this down. Right at the top, on top of the 4 possible solution, I want you to write down retirement plan insurance. Retirement plan insurance. Now Dean, why are we talking about insurance, right? Well, guess what? We have insurance in everything, right? From homeowners insurance, car insurance, health insurance, even life insurance, right? Now, it's on the bottom of your page. I'm looking for a word specifically. Why do we buy insurance?
Protection.
Transfer
Protect the
risk.
things that we value and the people that we love. Let me ask you this. Do we value our retirement account? Yeah, we kind of need it in retirement. Guess what? A lot of times, we have more money in our retirement than the value of our home. Okay? Now, Dean, so let me ask you this a question. What if you could purchase an insurance product that would credit you interest based on a stock market index? And when the stock market index goes up, you get to participate, you get to make money. But when the stock market index goes down, you don't lose anything. Show of hands how many times you have some or part of your money in something like that. That would make a lot of sense, right? Why take a chance? Now, how come we didn't hear about this insurance product, right? Well, guess what? You haven't been 65 years old before. Now you're getting invited to those dinners. Now it's also the time for you to keep a portion of your money safe and protected. We don't market this to 30 years old. They have plenty of time all the way to retirement. Also, the problem that I see, how come Joe, that we know, he knows that we're 65 years old, how come he doesn't show it to us? All he shows us stocks, bonds, and mutual funds. I mean, in the 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, all the way to 80s. Stocks, bonds, and mutual funds. That's all Joe talks to us about it, right? Now, the reason why I think that's it's my personal opinion. You can't be good at it. You cannot believe in it. We specialize in it. Okay, that's the centerpiece of our business. Okay, so now, Dean, this is fantastic. What in the world is this insurance product, right? The insurance product I was telling you about is the green line. Remember how I told you in the beginning I have a certain specialty, and that's the centerpiece of our business? I'm a green line specialist. Okay, so every time we start a relationship with a client, we start with a green line. So in 1999, when we went over to Joe, Miss Marta comes over to Synergist Wealth Management. But I want you to pay attention. She has a different kind of ask. She says like this: Dean, I worked really hard. I saved $100,000 in my retirement. I'd like to make some money, but I don't want to lose any money. You heard the difference, right? So what we did, we took Martha's money and put it into the green line. So first year, when Joe's account went up to $112,000, Martha's account went up to $107,000. Now, let me ask you, show of hands, how many think you would rather have 107 in the green line compared with 112 in the red line? That makes a lot of sense. Why take a risk, right? Yep. Now, during the next 2 years, when Joe's account went down to 63,000, guess what? Martha's account stayed at 107,000. She got zero for 2 years. But wait a minute, Dean, that's not that good either, right? It's a lot better than losing 60% of your money in retirement. Yes or no?
Yes.
A lot better. Now, during the next 5 years, when Joe was bragging of his account between double-digit return, guess what? Martha's account never did a double-digit return. So, you one thing. You don't need a double-digit return unless you dig yourself out of a double-digit what? Oh, a loss, right? So during that time, instead of going from 63 to 119, Martha's account went from 107 to 115,000.